Hey, what's up my friend? This is Valkyrie from Dreamlight. In this video I'm going to show you the one thing that took my 3D art from ugly to stunning in 27 minutes, and it's yours to copy completely for free. The thing is that I've been coaching over 25,000 3D students during the last, must be a decade now. Times go fast when you have fun, right? And I found a pattern that pretty much every artist goes through, and I'm gonna showcase this to you right now. And I'm inside Lightwave here, and I'm gonna be using this software to show you how I use that single thing to change this image around. And although it's just, it's Lightwave, the things I'm gonna be talking about are pretty generic, universal. You can apply it to virtually any 3D software out there. Alright, there is a lot of components to 3D, and I found out that one of them stands above the rest, and that is lighting. I'm going to show you why. Now, most 3D artists, including myself in the start, spend a lot of time lighting and using tedious trial and error. And I'm going to show you what happens usually is that we tend to just add some random lights. Then we're gonna add one more. I'm just showing you what usually happens, and they are just randomly added. Alright, there are random colors added. Just choose something blue here just for example, and I often see this very stuff you see here. I often see often no shadows whatsoever. It's like we are, DNA programmed to be afraid of shadows. So we tend to just continue and add, lights. For instance, add a spotlight here, and use that light. Let me choose wireframe here, and position it somewhere here. All right. Just randomly, adding lights without any thought, and just end up with something that looks, totally random. And having been coaching over 25,000 3D students, I've learned this process of lighting, and I'm gonna share with you a few tricks here that will instantly change the game for you. And one of them is to just get rid of everything in your scene and just keep one of the lights. Alright, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to just select two of the lights I just added. I'm going to remove them. Alright, clear selected. And I'm just going to keep one of them. Alright, so we're going to start off by adding shadows. Those dreadful shadows. Because shadows can be used to produce very cool effects in your scene. You can see what happens. You can play with them and let them dress your image, right? So I'm gonna just rotate it here until we get some cool pattern. Let's try this, and somewhere here you notice that we are getting really cool shadows onto our scene here, and it looks immediately more interesting. And the other thing you can do here is, once you have that single light added, is just add a little bit of ambient to fill out the blanks, and you have a complete image. You have a complete image that looks pretty decent, right? Then you can of course soften the shadows. They're pretty harsh right now, so we can just, if your software enables you to add softening, you can do that. You can also use an area light. That can sometimes be a little bit too soft, but you can just, at least in this software, you can just resize it. Rescale the, there we go. Rescale it down a little bit so you get sharper effects, but still they are harsh enough to be visible, right? And of course this kind of light works a little bit differently than the other one, so you got to move it to find our model here, right? But you have still those cool shadows and you're playing with your environment. Now they're just a little bit softer here on the edges here. And guys, the first thing is to just use one light. It will just, you know, use it and play with the shadows. That would just change the entire world for you. Just focus on one light. Alright, so I'm going to show you one more thing. And that is the famous 3-point light setup, often used for portrait photography, and it can also be used in 3D, actually in pretty much any scene, and it consists of 3 lights. Alright, so let me draw this for you here. Let's consider our scene from the top view here. So this is our top view, and we got our character right in the middle here, just for the sake of this presentation, and we got our camera at the very bottom of the scene, C for camera. Alright, and one of the lights is often added from the side at approximately 45 degrees towards our object. That light is called key light. And if we take a look at the same scene from the side, this is the side view, we've got the same character now standing, right? We got the camera here, and the light is coming from above here at the 45-degree angle. Why is 45 degrees? Because we are used to naturally getting light from above. If you go outside, the sun and the sky, those two are, you know, coming from above, right? So that's how we perceive natural lighting. That's why that's why we have ceiling lights in the ceiling, not on the floor. All right, so that's the thing called key light, and key means main. That means that's the main light. And again, main means that's the main light. Let it do the main job in your image. I'm going to show you in a moment how to do that. Alright, so the other light is often placed on the opposite, on the opposite side. I'm going to just change the color here. It's placed on the opposite side, and it's called the fill light or filler. And if you take a look at it from the side, it has the same height. Sometimes it can be a little bit lower, but it comes from the same direction. Also from above. Now the filler is a lot softer, weaker, right? And what it does, it just fills in the blanks, because this light here from the side, it creates and shapes the object, it gives the object definition, and by doing that, it, you know, if you consider a character here from the side, like a face, this key light would, you know, illuminate one portion of the face, leaving the other one pretty much dark, and you don't want complete darkness, right? So the fill light would just fill out the blanks just a little bit, provide some additional lighting. Alright, so we got one more. Here on the opposite side of the key light, very important, it's the opposite side. You see this diagonal going through there. On the same side as the filler, you have the backlight. And if you take a look at it from the side, it's often above here, back. This light has two roles. One of them, it's going to provide a nice silhouette effect, because it's you know, projected from this side. As the filler, it will, you know, add that silhouette effect on the darker part of your character. So remember, this left side is illuminated by the key light, right? So it has already brightness into that. Then we have the darker, you know, area here, and we got this nice edge. So what else this edge does for us, it separates the subject from the background. So if you have a background, it, you know, the character would just simply stand out from it because of that light. Alright, so I'm going to demonstrate how this 3-point light setup works here, and I've removed the backdrop. I just want it to be on the character only, so it's easy for you to see what I'm doing. I'll switch to top view, wireframe, and like from the drawing here, we got the character right in the center, we got the camera here, I'm gonna place one of the lights from the left, like I said, somewhere around here, right? And it's coming from above at an angle. Alright, I'm gonna look through the camera and I'm gonna turn on the shadows, and we immediately feel that it's kind of natural looking, right? But it's kind of dark in the shadows. Like I said, it comes from the side, it illuminates, gives the image definition, but it looks dark. Now if you want the shadows to be a little bit softer, you can always play with, a different light type. For instance, you can play with area lights. They are a little bit softer in their appearance. As you can see, the shadows are much softer, and you can further enhance that softness by resizing the area light. Right now, if you take a look from the top view, you see that it's kind of small, right? And these lights work best when they are close to the subject and resized. And it depends on how much softness you want. The larger you make them, the softer they are. I want still some punch or sharpness, crispness to them, right? Let me just load out of the bed and aim it towards the character. There we go. So now it looks completely different, right? We got the main light, pretty nice illuminating the entire character. That's the main light, so we can just call it key, right? Now I'm going to copy that light, and I add clone, current item, one clone, and I'm going to rename the clone to fill or filler. And I'm going to place that on the opposite side, right? So I'm going to go to the top, wireframe, and I'm going to move it to the other side. There we go. Rotate it, aim at our character, and I'm going to make that a lot larger in size because I want that. As I said, the filler needs to be a little bit softer, right? And that's it. All right. Camera view, and here we go. And it needs to be weaker because right now we are killing the job the key light does. So we're gonna just approximately have it at 50. Now we have the definition left. We can either, I mean, if you draw it, you can see that the main light creates, a lot of definition, right? But it leaves some parts dark. You can even have it stronger. You can now have stronger shadows still by resizing it. So I can just go to the key light and size and resize it down a little bit so I get crisper shadows. I like them to be pretty crisp. Now the filler, if we increase its intensity just a tiny bit, you see it fills in the blanks without killing the key light's job, because if you add too much of it, you're overpowering the other light. So it needs to be weaker in power. It's just that you provide additional lighting. Now sometimes it's not a good thing to have it from the other side or even from above. Sometimes the filler does a better job just being from the front and even come from below, because it does a better job at filling in the blanks. And this totally depends on your scene and your subject or object you are framing. Sometimes it just looks better having that from below. You see that it adds and fills in more of the blanks, right? Now we can also adjust it down a little bit so it doesn't overpower the scene. Alright, excellent. Actually, we can do a little bit more of it. Cool, so we're going to add the last one, which is the backlight. So I'm going to choose, for that I'm going to choose the key light again. And I'm going to duplicate it. Just create a copy, clone it, one clone, and I'm going to rename it to back. Now, like I said, the main idea of it is for it to come from behind, right? So if I move that to the opposite side, I'm going to show you why this not always is the best position for it. But first I'm just going to place it here. It's coming from behind, and like I said in the drawing, from the direct opposite position However, in this case, you see what happens, it provides this nice additional lighting from behind. However, in this case, I always say that the main lights, in this case the key light, should catch the face. So whichever whichever way the face is facing, you want to face it or match it with the key light, right? Key. And although the backlight does a pretty nice job here, I'd like to accent this side of the character instead, because she's facing that way. And by the way, we can have multiple backlights. I mean, I'm just adding some extra information here, but in this case I would just pick the other side. We need to rotate it so it's facing. So we got that in place, and like I said, there is no exact rule for which direction it should or should not be, but you can see this light does a lot more better job being from this angle. In this particular case, we can just raise it up a little bit, raise up still some more, and we can back it off. You see it hits the leg pretty hard, so we can back it off a little bit, just from the side view, back it off a little bit so it doesn't hit the leg so hard. Alright, there it is. So there are a few modifications we made, and because that depends on the topic. So right now we have a lot less lighting on the leg, and just provides nice lighting onto that. So that is the 3-point light setup, guys, and you see it's easy, it's immediate, it gives a really nice lighting each and every time. However, it's kind of limited when it comes to indoor lighting or any type of lighting other than portrait, because it's mainly done for portrait lighting, studio portrait lighting for photographers. It was invented by photographers, and you can use it for any scene. It works perfectly. You can also use it in that environment I showed you earlier. So here I've loaded the environment, and as you can see that the same light setup doesn't really work out perfectly here. You can do a few tweaks that will immediately make it look better. So I'm going to show you when you're using such a huge scenery, you want to like I said earlier, take advantage of shadows. So I'm going to place that, and we just go to top, light view. That's the one we're going to use. You want to use the environment to your advantage. So the key light here, I will just place it right inside here, so it cast those nice shadows onto everything, right? That's the first thing I would do, so you get those really nice shadows. Now the second thing, because the filler now is underneath the floor, which is not a good thing, right, for a light to be, I'm gonna just move it above the floor level and make sure it provides additional lighting from here. Right now we can take the backlight and also move it indoors, because it's kind of outside right now. So I'm just going to move it here, and why not just be here and aim like that. So what this backlight is now going to do, it creates a lot of spillover, like I could call it. It smashes straight towards the floor, which isn't the best thing to do. So in this case I would just change that light to spotlight, so it's a little bit more direct. Sorry about that, spotlight, right? And I would just move it closer here and just direct it here. You see the spotlight has a more targeted range. It doesn't affect the entire scene, so you're here affecting the character more locally, so to speak. Now as you can see, it still works indoors, right? You can quickly get very nice lighting, but it's somewhat a little bit more limited, because especially indoor setting has a lot of space, right? There's a lot of space to fill out with light, so that's when you want to add a little bit more lights. And I've invented this thing called the 7-point light setup, which builds on the 3-point light setup. It has 7 lights or 7 components instead of 3. I'm going to talk about them in just a moment, But here, just by raising the ambient level, you see that you're immediately filling out a little bit of the blanks, and it just feels a little bit better indoors, right? Right, so just with a little bit help of ambience, you got that additional lighting. Now, often the backlight can be, you know, a lot stronger, so you can go and change its intensity, because it comes at your scene at such a steep angle. You can, you know, in most cases, let it be a lot stronger. That would just increase the effect you see here, right? So that's kind of a bulletproof way of lighting pretty much any image. You just add a key light from, you know, 45 degrees angle. You match that up with a filler, and you add a little bit of backlighting to your main character. And again, by studying this topic, I was actually filming for 2 decades prior to 3D, doing 3D, and I found out that you can add more components here to a scene to make it even more vibrant. And one of the components we already touched on, actually, it's ambient. That small component that adds a little bit of the overall, you know, touch up. You also have overall lighting, you got bounce, and you got background. So these components, in conjunction with the main three, we just covered, key, fill, and back, shape what I call the 7-point light setup. Right, 7-point light setup, which I've developed, that will give you complete control over any image in any software each time. And by using all those 7 components, it completely changes the way you light your images. As you can see here, the very same scene here uses those 7 components combined, and especially there is a special way they interact with each other, the way they, you know, blend together and co-work and create magic. And that's it. See, we didn't change surfaces, we didn't change any materials, we didn't alter the camera, we just play with lighting, because I think that lighting is the thing when it comes to art, and I believe it to be 90% of it. And if you like this video, I've got more fun stuff for you. If you'd like to find out how this process works step by step, just simply click the link below. Alright, thanks for watching. This is Varik Cameron from Dreamlight. See you next time.